Thinking of adopting a cat? This video will give you some things to consider to help set you up for success. It's important to consider the availability of resources. First off, consider the amount of space in the home. Not just square footage, but space that is usable for the cat. That includes vertical space, like shelves and cat trees. Consider the funds you have available for food and supplies and veterinary expenses. And consider the amount of time and energy you have to give. The other thing that's important is the personalities and energy levels of everyone in the home, the people and any resident pets. Think about your lifestyle and what you want your relationship with the new cat to look like. Make sure you have realistic expectations. How important is it to you that the cat be a cuddly lap cat? You're not going to find a cat who's totally independent and takes care of their own needs and hops on your lap to cuddle whenever you please. It doesn't work like that. Every cat is an individual. Some cats are more cuddly and some cats are more independent. But make no mistake, cats aren't low-maintenance pets. There really is no such thing. If you can't keep up with a lot of playful energy, don't adopt a kitten. If you've recently lost a cat, remember to give the new cat a fresh start. They can't replace the one you lost. Every relationship is unique. We all want our pets to be able to coexist peacefully. Ideally, they might even become friends. It's important to think about the personalities and energy levels of your resident pets. Thinking of getting a kitten as a companion for a senior cat? Think again. That would be like adopting a toddler for grandma. We don't want to do that. We want to set ourselves up for success. Let's take a moment to consider the social behavior of cats who live on their own. These are free-roaming cats. Cats are often thought of as antisocial, but that isn't really accurate. Cats are solitary hunters. Their prey isn't big enough to share, so each cat needs to establish their own territory for hunting. Cats mark their territories using scent and pheromones. In this way, they leave messages for each other so they can communicate and prevent direct conflict. A cat's territory is the area they will actively defend. Within the territory is the core territory, where the cat feels safe enough to play, eat, groom, and sleep, and potentially enjoy social interaction. Cats' territories may overlap, with neutral areas in between. If an unfamiliar cat enters another cat's territory, they are met with a warning: staring, hissing, and growling. If that doesn't work, the resident cat may chase and attack the intruder. Colonies form in areas where food is available. Cats from the same colony will approach each other with a friendly tail-up signal, nose touch, and walk past each other, rubbing along each other's sides. This is called allo rubbing. Then they might snip each other's rear ends. Sometimes they'll walk side by side with tails entwined. Cats that are from the same colony will scratch and rub their cheeks on objects in the area, creating a group scent. The social behavior of free-roaming cats is quite variable. Some colonies have groups with strong social bonds, while others are more loosely associated. When cats form social groups, they aren't random. Groups are commonly made up of related queens, mother cats, who share the work of caring for kittens. Group living offers greater protection from intruding males and predators. Male cats usually live on the periphery, with large territories that overlap with other cats. Cats form friendships with other cats they like to be close to. Scientists call them preferred associates. A cat's preferred associates are most often relatives or other familiar cats. With the exception of breeding adults, there's no effect of gender on which cats are preferred associates. With spayed and neutered cats, gender doesn't matter. Cats who are preferred associates often groom each other and sleep together in close physical contact. Cats don't have a rigid social structure. In the field of animal behavior, the word dominance means priority of access to certain resources. The idea of dominance doesn't really apply to cats. Some cats may have priority access to certain resources in different situations, but those relationships are always in flux. There's no fixed hierarchy. Physical fights within a group are infrequent. Instead, cats use body posturing, such as lowering the ears slightly, turning the head away, and leaning back, to diffuse tension and avoid fighting. When conflict does occur, it's usually when male kittens reach sexual maturity. They get kicked out of the group and have to go and establish their own territory. This serves to prevent inbreeding. Interactions between intact toms are mostly characterized by avoidance and tolerance, sometimes aggression. Outsiders are met with aggression. If a non-colony member is persistent, they may eventually be integrated into the group, but only after many interactions. Individual cats have different personalities and different levels of sociality. A cat's personality is shaped by their genetics and their learning history. It includes traits like boldness or fearfulness, activity level, sociability toward other cats, and sociability toward humans. The period from 2 to 7 weeks is a critical socialization period for kittens. During that time, they learn how to interact with the world and they form their attitudes toward other cats and toward humans. When it comes to pet cats, some become stressed from living with other cats, while others are stressed when they live without feline companions. Cats have different levels of sociality toward humans as well. Some form strong bonds with humans. Sometimes a cat will form strong bonds with one human in particular. Kittens learn from their mother how to interact with humans. They'll socialize to humans more readily if their mother is calm in the presence of humans. Cats who have positive experiences with different people during the early period of socialization tend to be less fearful of strangers as adults. Kittens who grew up without their mother or without litter mates miss out on important learning experiences that happen during adolescence, and so they won't learn how to interact appropriately with other cats. Their lack of social communication skills can show up as excessive fear or aggression. If you plan to have a multi-cat home and want to make a successful match, activity level is more important than age. It may actually be the most important factor. That said, kittens are easier to introduce to each other. The disadvantage is you don't really know their personalities. When you adopt a kitten, they haven't experienced much of the world yet. Their personality is still forming, so you don't really know what you'll get. Will the kitten grow up to be a lap cat, a couch potato, or an adventurous explorer? Cats reach social maturity somewhere between 1.5 years and 4 years old. That's when their personality is fully developed. Of course, they can still learn and change their behavior, but their essential personality stays the same. When you adopt an adult cat, you get to see more of their personality, but often much of their backstory is a mystery. More on that later. Other things to consider. Some breeds are known for their activity level. Bengals, for instance, are high energy, agile, and curious. Ragdolls are the opposite. They are known for their docile temperament. A cat's breed doesn't need to be an important consideration unless you're looking for either extreme. Most cats are mixed breeds. If you're looking for a specific breed, it's important to look for a reputable, responsible breeder. If the cats are spayed and neutered, gender doesn't matter. Size could be a factor if the more assertive cat is much larger. Judging a cat's personality can be highly subjective. Things like a cat's gender, breed, and coat color can impact how we perceive their personality, and we can't help but be influenced by our own personality and previous experiences. For example, if I grew up with 2 cats in my family, a friendly orange male and a shy Siamese female, I might think that orange cats are more friendly than Siamese cats, and that male cats are more outgoing than females. And this may or may not be true of the new cats I meet. It's worth taking a closer look at your assumptions and biases so you can really see each cat as an individual. It can be hard to judge a cat's personality when you meet them in a shelter. Shelters are stressful environments, so the cat is probably going to be scared, not showing their true personality and their full range of behaviors. Even in a foster home, it can be hard to know for sure. For example, just because the cat lived peacefully with a dog in the foster home, there's no guarantee that the cat will get along with all dogs in any context. Animals, humans included, tend to generalize negative experiences when our brains are in survival mode. Meaning, if a cat is chased by a dog in their previous home, the cat will probably assume that all dogs are scary. Better safe than sorry. But if they have a positive experience, it doesn't necessarily translate. Getting along with one dog doesn't mean all dogs are okay. Maybe the previous dog was an older dog who slept most of the time and ignored the cat, but the new home has a puppy. That's not the same. Even in a foster home, it can be hard to know for sure. If you take in a cat who is previously living outdoors, it can be even more challenging, especially if the cat is under-socialized and doesn't trust humans. With cats who are under-socialized, it takes longer for them to settle in and feel safe in the home before you can fully see their personality. One of the best ways to get to know a cat is through a foster-to-adopt program. By fostering the cat, you get to see how they act in your home environment. After some time, you could introduce them to your resident pets to see if they get along. Realistically, the best we can do is find out what is known about the kitten or cat's background and make the best judgment that you can. Avoid obvious mismatches. When it comes to multi-cat homes, a variety of factors may influence whether cats will get along in the long run. The initial introduction can be the deciding factor. A significant number of cats will fight when a new cat is brought into the home. In one survey, about half of the multi-cat households reported fighting between cats when the new cat was introduced. Cats that fought when they first met, biting or scratching, were more likely to still be fighting up to a year later. Another study found that in multi-cat households where conflict was reported, over 73% noted conflict signs from the very beginning when introducing the cats. That's why it's so important to set up for success from the start. It's important to remember that free-ranging cats can choose to leave an undesirable social situation, whereas companion cats, especially indoor-only cats, cannot. Cats living in a multi-cat home have their roommates chosen by their caregivers. They don't automatically form bonded social groups. Social groups of cats tend to work best when the members are familiar with each other and there's no competition for resources. With that in mind, people who wish to have a multi-cat household might do better by adopting littermates, or a mother cat with one or more of her kittens. A gradual introduction process is recommended, especially when introducing mature cats. When I say gradual, expect it to take weeks or months, not just a few days. You may have been lucky with cats in the past, but quick introductions are the exception, not the rule, with adult cats. A 2024 study in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery states that, typically, inter-cat tension within a home occurs because there's competition over resources, or something is threatening the social relationships within the group. Introduction of a new cat, territorial invasion by an outdoor cat, or pain or sickness. One study found that 97.5% of aggressive encounters centered around food. This is one reason why using mealtime for introductions is a bad idea, but more on that in the next video. To prevent conflict, ensure that there are plenty of resources: food and water, litter boxes, scratching posts, elevated perches, toys and play areas, beds, resting areas, hiding places, etc., spread out around the house to eliminate the need for competition. Plenty of resources means the number of cats plus one, ideally. Each cat will establish their own territory. It's important that resources be spread out around the house so that each cat can access everything they need without having to cross through another cat's core territory. They can interact in the neutral areas if they choose, or they can avoid the other cats if they prefer. It's not always possible in a multi-cat home to have the number of cats plus one for every resource. In larger multi-cat households, you want to look at the number of social groupings within the home and make sure that there are enough resources for each of the social groups plus one extra at a minimum. So for example, in my home, I have 3 social groups of cats, which includes 1 trio and 2 individuals. There are resources spread out in different areas of the home so that each group can have access to those resources without crossing through another group's core territory. That way we can avoid conflict. To have the best chance that your cats will get along, it's important to provide plenty of resources spread out around the house and to try to match compatible personalities. If there's enough room for each cat to have their own space, cats who have a neutral relationship may be able to coexist peacefully. If the cats are good friends, they may even be willing to share resources. If there aren't enough resources or their personalities are conflicting, it's unlikely that the cats will get along. Keep that in mind when you're adopting another cat. You want to do your best to find compatible personalities and create an environment where there are plenty of resources and everyone can have their personal space. Even when we try our best to make thoughtful matches, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes bonded pairs break up after a stressful move to a new home. Other times, cats who were once best friends will have a falling out once they reach social maturity. That's what happened for my cats, Linus and Jasper. When that happens, we need to think about what will give all the cats the best welfare. That might mean separate territories within the home, or finding a new home for one of the cats. It's not good for anyone to keep living in a stressful situation. Although it's not the outcome we would wish for, it's still a happy ending when the cat has the opportunity to thrive in a different environment. If you'd like to talk with me about a new cat introduction, or work through a reintroduction, you can learn more about my services on my website, fellowcreaturespets.com. Thanks for watching!